Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
You're going to be hanging out for the next 15, 20 minutes with the master sales guy, Joe Cipollini. What's going on?
What is going on, sir?
I like that, the master sales guy. First, tell us why you're a master sales guy.
Oof. I would say that I've been in the real estate game for nearly 20 years, and I found myself kind of in a seat where I kept being put into a leadership spot of sales, and I think my genius zone might be curating, developing, building sales folks in the real estate space, both the retail space and the investment space.
Ooh,
So
I like that. I like that. You're going to add some value to people here. And where are we? We are hanging out with Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. My name is Kenneth French. Let's add some value to the people who are going to be watching and listening to this, usually real estate entrepreneurs, maybe agents all over the US. Let's get right to it. All right. So first, by the way, so give us one story where you've totally changed someone's life. Maybe they're a real estate agent. They were making whatever, pretty good amount. Let's just say $100,000. And then all of a sudden, because of you, they're making 200,000. Give us one story. Go.
I love that. Yeah. So one client stands out to me amongst many, and it was a solopreneur, right? So a single agent and super talented. And we actually met by chance at a happy hour at a mastermind event at our brokerage. Out like we were out of the state. It was like one of those like big convention type things, and we just connected there. And she was like, "You should coach me." And I was like, "I don't coach anybody." And she was like, "Yeah, I want you to coach me." So she not only was my first coaching client, but she has a super cool story on how it turned out. She went from a single agent and she just had bigger goals. She's a go-getter. And we started to work together. I was like fumbling through being, my first coaching client, right? And she essentially 5x'd her productivity over the course of 2 years, eventually surpassing $100 million. And yeah, from a single
Good.
agent to over 100 units in the first year that we coached together. So again, I say that I've sort of stumbled into this space of whatever master sales guy language that we want to use. But I genuinely mean that. I didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh man, I really want to become a guru or a trainer, teacher, coach, any of that type of stuff." It was sort of organic. And my origin to even become a coach or educator was actually out of necessity. My business partner and I took over a sort of moderately failing brokerage. And the only way that I knew to do anything to change the trajectory was to start a book club. And that's actually how I kind of dip my toe into the water of coaching or teaching. And we just got into the trenches with the agents that were there and started to turn the brokerage around one book at a time. So
Dude, I
yeah.
like that story. That's a really good one. Usually I ask that and someone says, "Oh, I increase someone's rate of return by 20%." But I like that. That's a huge deal. So, all right. So then, by the way, I always forget, how does someone get a hold of you if they want some of your coaching or some of your expertise?
Yeah, sure. So our coaching and education site is ramprei.com. That's ramprei.com. So we're in the real estate investment space, like the REI space for the most part. We have a lot of agents that join us there, especially the ones that want to kind of cross over between retail. And there you can find the different products that we have in terms of one-on-one coaching, our group coaching, which is mostly sales focused. And yeah, so ramprei.com.
Awesome. Thanks. So then what's one thing over your career? Because you've had a long and distinguished career for as young as you look, blows me away. What's the one thing that you would say that you regret not doing to help either yourself as a salesperson or one of your clients?
Man, something I regret not doing. I would say, a blind spot for coaches sometimes is the work-life balance. And so it gets a little deep quick, Kenner, but like I would say that for me, maybe a regret that I would have is not going into the deep water with some clients who are having like personal challenges or work life, personal life type of difficulties, and challenging them to live a life that they were worthy of living. So I don't necessarily have a specific that I would give in that, because that could get into some people's business. But I would say that as a coach, right, it's really easy to just talk business. And especially, if we have agents that are listening, it's a chaotic world right now, and agents sort of pride themselves on living in that chaos. And I,
Yeah.
I would say, like, take a step back and really look, is like, am I living and building the life that I want to live, that I intend to live? Like, living by intention, I think, is a really big deal. And a lot of people just live by accident. If you don't have written goals and sort of set yourself to do things both in your business and personal life that are going to mean something in a couple of years or 10 years or 20 years, I would just say that's probably, that's a regret of mine, is not going to those places sooner with some of my clients, and maybe a lesson that other people can hear and learn from.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So what would you say? Because real estate agents, by the way, again, as a reminder, we don't just have real estate agents, but some of them are real estate agents or in the real estate space who are watching and listening. But what's the number one thing that gets in their way as a barrier to success, would you say?
That's an awesome question. I ask that question a lot of times when I'm coaching people. I was like, "Hey, what's the one thing that's a barrier?" And the answer that they give is an answer that I like. My default answer to say was themselves, and that's
Mm,
often the answer they give. And then the rule that I have is they can't use that as the answer.
mm,
So it's oftentimes limiting beliefs or lack of discipline, and ultimately, like, I think calendar control is one of the biggest things in any kind of entrepreneurial lifestyle, is like managing your time. Is sort of a cliche way to put it. It's like, it's literally making the decision on what you're going to do with your time. You can try to call it management, but you just have to say, like, I'm committed and I'm going to make those decisions, and then build a life that's made up of that time.
Yeah, for that's a good one, by the way. Our answer would be, if you're going to prioritize one thing over another, use artificial intelligence, because we've been doing that for a long time. AI really helps in that regard. I think a
Hmm.
lot of real estate agents don't use AI, but whatever. I don't even know why I threw that out there. But all right, so and they really don't, by the way, and they should. But
Totally agree.
um, which is kind of sad, but anyway. All right. So I want to pick your brain a little bit more. So
Sure.
what would you, let's say I was a brand new agent, although we don't have very many brand new agents to listen and watch this. What's one thing you would, no, what's a path down that you would go if you're a brand new agent, maybe let's say a year or two into the business?
Yeah. I think that a lot of agents get too fancy too fast. And I would say embrace the suck of the boredom of lead generation and lead conversion. And
Yeah.
I know you probably wanted a cooler, fancier, funnier answer than that.
No, I
But
get
the
it.
reality is like, I have one thing that I would say: go to the office. So I know we have people that the new brokerage world is very fragmented. There's a lot of people who can work from home. Then find a place that you're going to call the quote unquote office and go to work, right? If you were clocking in and clocking out to make a living, you'd have to go somewhere, have a boss to answer to, you'd have to be accountable to those things. And in this, like, agency world and solopreneur world and REI world, we can kind of get away with, yeah, maybe not doing that. And I would say that would be the one thing, is like,
Yeah.
clock in and clock out and be an amazing employee for yourself. If you did that, it's a game changer. Lead gen, lead follow up, hours of that, 2 hours of each a day, you're gonna put tons of money in the bank, and then you can get fancy. You can go,
Yeah.
flip tons of houses, do whatever you want to do.
You could, I mean, that's a good point, because you could be the best service provider, you could have the best product or whatever the case is, but if you don't get people in the door, it doesn't matter. And at the same time, if you're not going to, let's say, an office or doing something proactively, you're not going to get people in the door. So I think that's really smart. So
That's
then,
right.
okay, so let's say I was, I don't know, I'm producing, I don't know, $3 million a year in real estate, meaning commissions.
Mhm.
Um, and I want to take it to 4 or 5 million. What's one thing that you think can help me to take it to the next level?
Oh man, you know,
That's a hard
I think,
question. I like asking hard questions.
yeah, that's a tough one, because, like, you got to decide what's going to fit into your lifestyle and what your risk tolerance is. If I'm making $3 million bottom line and I want to start to expand that, maybe even get to that 5 million, double, essentially double, I'm probably going to start to diversify at that point into investing, right, where the margins maybe get a little bit bigger. You're already probably generating a good amount of leads if you're making $3 million. So it's like, I would probably start to scale in some of those alternative ways. And then the kind of the natural thing that a lot of agents do is they start to build a team, right? And if you're going to build a team, build it right. And have it really run like a business. I think that we have a lot of people that run a real estate team, but it's really just a blob. It's just a glob of agents that sort of pass leads around, and money gets mixed up, and it's not really accountable. So building a real team. But
Yeah.
I would say that we touch an incredibly valuable commodity in real estate. So if you're a real estate agent and like these leads are coming through and listings are passing by, and you're touching sellers, you're touching opportunities when every time a commodity passes you by. And it's like, I think at a certain point, um it's a little bit short-sighted or underwhelming to just let those keep going by and not take advantage of the opportunity that real estate really provides at a high level.
Yeah, I think real estate's obviously it's important, I mean, especially in the U.S. I mean, real estate, and a big component of that is what you're when you buy a piece of real estate or buy a investment property or buy your home, and with whom the person with whom you're dealing really, if that person's key and really is going to help you, they're going to buy. You're going to always buy from that person again,
Hmm.
and that's where really the relationship and maybe even future money really comes into play. So there's a reason I mentioned that. So tell me about your business as a real estate agent, maybe not as a coach. Tell me what it's like, so people who are real estate agents or who are business owners out there can really learn a little bit about your business and from your business.
Yeah. So a little bit of background there, right? I had been in the REI space. I was like a grunt worker at a real estate investment group, and like answering Craigslist leads, if that tells you how glamorous my life was, right?
Whoa, was that sounds like it was
Y-
killer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody that comes to me and complains about the lead quality, like they don't get a lot from me.
Oof.
But yeah, so I was in the business, right? And then I got my real estate license and left, and I had a business partner, and there's like pluses and minuses to business partnership a lot, right? But we've managed to make it more than 10 years. We haven't killed each other, and we haven't, I don't think, stolen money from each other. And so that's actually been really good. We have very different but complementary personality types, so it has worked for us. And so we just sort of like were on a life raft at that point. I mean, I was making good money at the investment company, and then went to essentially like got to go figure it out. And and so we built a team eventually, right? So we had a little partnership, and we kind of chugged along. And I like crazy, I mean, kind of crazy story is like I was making about six figures at the investment company. My first year as a real estate agent, I made $27,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right. So like when you think that it's all glamorous and you see the highlight reel at the end, it's like that's what it was really like. And we doubled our revenue, we doubled our income every year for the next 4 years. So if you do that math, like we started to do pretty well pretty quickly. And I mean, not the first year, that was tough, but
Yeah, the
but
first
you
year,
know,
not exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
relative to all of life, right? 4 years would pass by. And so then we kind of built a team, and we were doing a couple hundred units a year, and heavy on database and referral. And that was a real change, because in the investment space, a lot of investors do very cold lead generation, right? It's like they're like reaching out through direct mail and PPC and these other lead sources that are pretty cold. And we were just like going to friends and family and like gathering our sphere of influence and doing 100 deals, 150 deals, 200 deals a year by doing that. And so we built a fairly decent team. And actually, I still look at it now, and the agents that were on our team, I love all of them individually. We're not all in the same place anymore, but pretty much everybody's successful in their own right at this point, which is really cool to see. Um, and yeah, so that was my retail business. I did transition out of being a large scale retail agent to actually become the chief sales officer of an investment company,
Yeah.
which again sort of is like my genius zone of like building a sales engine. But I mean, I still hold a real estate license to this day. I have a pending deal that closes next week, so I keep it sharp a little bit, and still work sphere of influence and database things alongside my partner, so that I'm keeping my time in check.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. So, what's before I forget, can you say how to get a hold of you just one last time, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So RampREI.com is the place to find myself and the other band of misfits that are in our coaching and education company.
band of misfits. So what's one thing that we haven't talked about that you think can add value to, again, our audience? Let's say anyone along the spectrum of a brand new investor, brand new agent, all the way to, a big time investor. They don't have to sell real estate. It can be whatever, sell widgets. What's just one thing that we have not talked about that can add value to someone who's an entrepreneur out there, let's say?
Man, I think entrepreneurial, like this journey is tough. And I would say that the sneaky thing, again, not really sexy, is like keeping your mindset right. I firmly believe that having a good handle on the inside stuff allows you to be a great outside human being, right?
Mm.
It's really tough, like, to show up and do hard work and be a shell of a human being on the inside. And like, frankly, it's just like you see burnout, you see failure, marriages failing, right? Like all of that type of stuff. And so I would just say, like, I don't really care. I don't care if you're selling widgets, real estate, building a team, solopreneur, part-time. It doesn't matter. Is like I would do that inside work. I heard an amazing quote from Tim Ferriss. He said, "You have to do the inner work before you do the outer work." And I have, like, really hammered that home in my coaching business as well. And I strongly encourage you to do that. So if you haven't journaled today, I would go grab a journal and just write out something, right? I mean, you can start accidentally and eventually become, like, really thoughtful about it. But if you don't know what life you want to build in 10 years or 15 years, and thinking about what that will look like and feel like and what that will mean to you, everything else sort of is hollow from there. So I would encourage you to focus on that mindset, have a positive gratitude mindset, and think about that every single day. Every day at my kitchen table, at my dining table, when we have dinner, we used to call it peak and pit. And so every single day, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's the peak and pit?" So it's like the high point of your day, and you say what your gratitude is, and then you give, like, something that was, like, kind of funky, right? We've actually changed that. I heard a really good one from one of my coaching clients, and now we do high, low, buffalo. So it's hot. What was the high of the day? What was the low of the day? And then the buffalo is what was funny today.
Ah,
So
I like that.
so there you go. Maybe you take that back and you're just like, man, this guy, like, I thought I was gonna, hear some crazy business stuff or some sales stuff, and he taught me high low buffalo.
I like that, actually. That would be a good takeaway. I really appreciate you being here, Joe Cipollini. Wow, this has been good. Once again, this is Kenner French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thanks, everybody.